Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Amcast with me, Khan, your host for the day. And I'd like to introduce you guys, in fact, the man who doesn't need an introduction, so I'm just going to get straight into it. Assaad, thank you so much for being with us on the show today.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fantastic.
It's good to have you here because I know you've been doing a lot musically lately. I know you've been involved with a bunch of awards. You've got your record that was released recently. You've got a music video and stuff like that. You know, we're going to try to sum a lot of that up into the next couple of minutes, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. We're going to try, you know. So, yeah, let's jump straight into it. Now, I know you from a couple of years ago when you released the first Bullfunk Zoo record. Yeah. Which at the time had Hamdan on vocals. You had a band, a four-piece band. Yeah. It was more like a super group. Correct me if I'm wrong. You had, Hamdan on vocals. There was yourself on guitars. There was Jeremiah on drums. And then there was Rami on bass.
Yeah, and I had a few other different musicians as well. I always have different musicians.
The story of Dubai's bands. Everyone always has that musician circuit coming and going through a band.
Well, you have to. If you're doing a lot of shows and people can get busy and stuff, so you have to juggle it around.
You've come a long way since that record. Yeah. Right? Now
I've done way stuff before as well. But
okay,
anyway.
So let's rewind. Let's go a little bit before the time of Bullfunk Zoo. How long have you been in Dubai?
I was born and raised in Dubai. I left here in '93 to the US. Okay. And I came back in 2000. So in the US, I did a lot of music there as well, and tours and all of this stuff, and gigging with different bands. And
wait a minute. So you went to the US, the epicenter of pretty much most of the bands that I grew up listening to.
And it was the 90s as well.
And it was the fucking 90s, dude.
Yeah.
It was awesome. One of the best times in rock and roll.
I know, I took it for granted.
And you left that shit and you came here?
Yeah, I had to leave.
What happened?
No more visa, my friend.
Wow, man. I mean, so you were there probably, and you experienced, not probably, you definitely experienced some of the best music coming out of the US at that time.
Oh, yeah. I learned everything there, to be honest. This is where I brought all the knowledge and experience to here, is because of there.
And you came here with an idea that you're going to pursue music full-time?
Oh, I knew it since I was a kid, though, that I was going to pursue music full-time.
Okay, so fast forward, you said you came back to Dubai in 2000.
Yeah.
And it's 2019, so you've been here almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
What have you been up to when it comes to music?
When I came back here? Mm-hmm. Well, when I first came here, I built a recording studio. I'm always into studio stuff. And I created a band called Moist Luscious at that time. Because, I'm a big Frank Zappa fan. Frank Zappa, he's the man.
He's a legend.
And all these other cats. We can talk about that some other time. So I formed a band called Moist Luscious with a great drummer named Praveen Mookie. Okay. I'm sure you know he is the Mookie.
Rings a bell.
And his brother and stuff like that. We did a few shows with that. It was a lot of funky, rocky kind of stuff. Still building the chops of where I want to be musically or discover my own sound. And right after that, I created a band called Abstract Collision.
I remember that band.
Yeah, and I put 3 records out on that one.
Yeah.
One official release, the other one's some releases in here and there. One of the songs on there also got nominated. I featured a spoken word artist from the U.S. who
nominated where?
In the U.S. for the Independent Music Awards as well.
Nice.
International Songwriting Competition. Sorry.
Nice.
It was that, yeah. So I did 3 records of that. I did a lot of the jazz festivals here when 2003, 2005, 2008,
so-called
2010.
Jazz festivals.
Well, yeah, all jazz festivals around the world are the same.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Okay. It is. It's all the same.
So it's never purely jazz?
No, there's always jazz involved, but and I understand why they did that here. There's what Anthony, I know Anthony and stuff like it. Started out with great jazz artists and all of that, but you have to also give to the public. You know where we live in Dubai, so the demographic is small. And
you need to think commercially.
You have to think commercially. I mean, the guy's putting a lot of money in there, so I understand why clubs don't have that here. There's everybody thinks of it in a negative way, but it's not. It's just realistic. That's the way it is, and it's like that the rest of the world. By the way, it's not that much different, except the rest of the world has a much bigger demographic than here. If we want to talk about that subject,
no, definitely want.
But let's move on from that subject and let's talk about Bullfunk, motherfucking Zoo.
Let's talk about Bullfunk.
So after, I'll just recap on that. Abstract Collision. Then I started doing shows. I created a band called Abstract Roots, which is more kind of folky, not folky, sorry, world, just to do more shows and stuff like that. So I had different musicians and whatnot. During that time, I also played with different bands as session guitar player and whatnot.
You got busy.
Yeah, I've always been busy, but I was also working in television. I'm, film production and audio engineering and all of this stuff. And then I decided to leave the television film industry in 2011. But before that, my brother was playing with Abri, with his band Abri. So he was one of the founding members as well.
Okay.
And then Julian was the creator of that band, obviously with Hamdan and stuff like that, the composer. But he left to Brazil, and that time their manager kind of asked me to join the band on guitar to replace the keyboards. So we did a lot of shows. We got on really well, and we had good chemistry together. And that band, I believe, started dissipating because of the forming members left the country, the drummer and all of that stuff. So I told him, listen, why don't we create a band together so we could, live off of this? And that time, it was 2012 when I left NBC. I was in NBC Television. I also worked for Nat Geo for a bit.
Wow.
And we do this, and I quit. I just wanted to do music again full-time, although I've been doing it full-time and working full-time, but I just wanted to do that. So we decided to do covers of stuff that we like to do, and I'd rearrange them in very different ways with him. But of course, bearing in mind, I'm always writing a lot of music, so I have tons of music over, and I still have a big backlog. Building up to that, seeing how the chemistry of the band goes on, and I eventually in 2012, after like a year of doing a lot of shows here, I wrote a lot of music, lyrics, and all that good stuff. I went into the studio and released 2013 the self-titled album Bull Funk Zoo. Right after that, it's always been me as Bull Funk Zoo. I'm always thinking of hiring different session players. It's not about set musicians. I like to be very eclectic with the music.
Yeah, I mean, given your history, what you've been saying is that, I mean, you've played a lot with a lot of different people, different bands.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised to hear that that's the formula you used for Bull Funk Zoo. Because the thing I was trying to get to in the second question I wanted to ask was regarding the second album for Bull Funk Zoo was completely different than the first one.
I did that. That was the first album. Most of the albums I've ever done, they were all recorded live in the studio.
Okay.
Even the albums I did 2 albums in the US, one with a band called Arcology, which is kind of a soul funk with spoken word. And then I did an album with a spoken word artist and another player called God's Pager. Everything I've always done was always live in the studio because you always captured the dynamics. So we didn't track separately. It was always, okay, let's come in written or complete improvise or whatever it is. Dangerous Radio, the second album of Bull Funk Zoo, I already got a lot of knowledge under my belt of how to produce, how to mix, how to record and all that good stuff. I decided to do it all on my own because, well, part of it is practical for me, and depending on other musicians to come and record, I mean, I can play bass sufficiently, guitar, keys, and I write drums a lot, so I understand rhythm a lot and stuff, so and harmony and all of that. So putting that musical knowledge, I'm like, I'll just do it myself, and I did. Mixed, mastered, everything recorded myself, so
wow.
Put the artwork and all that stuff. And Down and Dirty as well, I did the same thing, except I wanted live drums, because that one wasn't live drums, but you can't hear it, obviously, because I mixed it really, really well. But I love drummers. Drumming is my biggest thing, So.
As a musician, I don't think there's something wrong with using drums which are not live.
No, there's nothing wrong at all. But with my music, it's always nice to get the dynamic and feel of live elements. So even like a record like that, when I record, play all the parts. The most important thing is arrangement, which can be very tedious in how to cut stuff. And when I arrange the song, I'd replay all the parts straight on through, even with the mistakes, because I wanted to have that, human element rather than chopped up. I like that. It's my vibe. It's that rawness. With Down and Dirty, which I just released, I did the same thing. I wrote all the drums. I even programmed the drums, but I wanted a real drummer and the sound of real good drums. And in the US, who I found, we became friends, and he recorded all the drum tracks for me. Of course, I mixed and edited and all that stuff like that. I have some featuring people on this record. Did the same thing. Now I'm working on another record.
Nice.
And
for Bull Funk Zoo.
Yeah, it's Bull Funk Zoo.
Always gonna be, okay.
That's my name, I guess, now, because I worked with an artist before. She's like, you got to call yourself Bull Funk Zoo. I'm like, okay, cool, because you are Bull Funk. Cool, that's
BFZ, man. It sounds good.
Yeah, stage name.
So you've got a bunch of records under your belt with Bull Funk Zoo. Now, the fact that you're playing and writing the music just by yourself, how does it work when it comes to playing live on stage?
Oh, I hire session players.
And they go through each and every
yes,
song?
I basically, I write all the parts for everybody. And I also send them stems as well to work on each part and who shares what, who does what.
Does it take a lot more time doing this as opposed to just having your own band members and jamming?
Oh, yeah, it's great to have band members. But, you know, like, I just don't have the time to waste. You know, I need to get things going on. I know exactly what I want, and I put it in there. And it's always great to meet other musicians and vibe off of them.
Yeah.
For me, it's been difficult here to find people with the same mindset as musicians.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
You know, I mean, I think my music is a bit quirky, but for me, I'm always chasing my own sound, and I just want it to be my own sound. I don't want to sound like anybody else. Yeah, there's a lot of influences, but it's important for me that I have my own sound. And I think I've achieved, I mean, this is what I get the feedback from people, which is good, you know.
So you're spending a lot of time in the studio, in rehearsal rooms, writing new music, making new records. You said you mix and master them yourself. That's a lot of stuff.
Dangerous Radio I did, and I mixed the last record, but the last record was mastered, Down and Dirty was mastered by someone else I found.
Okay.
The self-titled album was mixed... me and Josh Williams mixed it.
Yeah.
And it was mastered by Howie Weinberg, some famous mastering engineer.
Guy.
But, you know, with budgets and all that tight, so I kind of figured it out. I'm not the best mastering, and I'm not really a mastering engineer, but I had to master it somehow. But mixing is the key. So I got really good at mixing. Like, now I'm opening up to other bands because I enjoy it. It's a very creative process, the mixing element. Mixing all of that. I just got so many years under the belt. I started with a little 4-track player in the 90s. Wow. I worked in analog studios, you know, with consoles, assisting, making coffee or whatever in the US.
You've come a long way when it comes to production of music as well, and not just writing your own records. You said, you mentioned the word budget a few seconds ago.
Yeah.
Now, is music, are we comfortable to say that music is your full-time gig?
No, it's not. I work in the events industry.
So you work in the events?
I fund everything from what I make in the events industry, yeah. But the reason why I do that, there's a big reason for that. I could have worked full-time as a musician, which I did. But what happened is I noticed doing that full-time as a musician here, you have to session in and play everything, not just my band, right, to make that living. But what happens is I didn't get into music to just do that. It's a great learning experience. It's a great confidence builder. It's a great way to practice your showmanship on stage. But what happened is I kept chasing the money just to make the next bread and butter, right? And I didn't want to go there because what happened is I write music. For me, I look at myself as a composer or producer or whatever. You know, I write a musician, right? And that's first and foremost. I got into music to make music, you know, not just to perform. I'm a guitar player, but that's just my tool to portray what's in my head, right? So there's like, I said to myself, either I do this or I go do what I'm pretty good at, events. I do show calling, show directing, all of this stuff at events, which makes me good money. And nobody can bug me about music. I'll do my music the way I want to do it, and I'll do the shows I want to do, the shows I want to do.
You pick and choose.
I pick and choose, you know. And that's kind of really good at the same time.
It is.
You know, especially for this region here.
It is,
you know? There's a lot of, I've done so many shows. I mean, you know, we've done so many shows, open for big names and stuff. It's great, but, you know, I don't blame the area for why it's like this. I hear musicians complaining all the time. I'm like, you know what? Man up and shut the fuck up, man. You know, it's the same everywhere. There's no music scene. Blah, blah, blah. Of course there isn't. Of course, it's the same way all around the world. If you want to make music, you make music, man. You know, like, stop complaining. Yeah, you see me complaining, and as people, we don't do this record. Well, sorry, man. My job entails me to work 14 to 16-hour days, and I still put out records within a year, all by myself. So don't make up an excuse. If I can do it, I think anybody can do it.
No, I think
people just make up excuses and negative. Like, dude, it's music, you know? And, anyway, I don't want to tread on that.
There's a lesson in there. You know, I mean, we've had some great guys come on the show, and they've talked about, I mean, I wouldn't even say they've said negative things about, you know, what they've experienced, but everyone's been taught a lesson in their own different way. Everyone has their own formula. Everyone goes about music their own way.
Right.
You seem to be doing something which is allowing you to put, you put a roof on your head, put food on the table. It's allowing you to make music. It's allowing you to make records.
Yeah.
You recently were nominated for another award.
Yeah, this new record is awesomely has been nominated for Best Rock Album 2019 in the Independent Music Awards.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, and there's 5 albums. Of course, there's different genres. And like some of the judges are Mumford and Sons, the singer of The Cure, nice. Tom Waits, all these guys.
Wow.
And 5 albums is like, really? Wow, that's great. And the awards in New York in June. I won't be able to make it there, but I have a friend of mine who's one of my first band actually we created was a punk band. Yeah, he's going to represent. Nice, you know, nice. Me and my fiance getting married. It's our wedding day, so it happens. But they're cool with it. So
that's
he's
a tough
going to
situation
represent.
To be in.
It's all good,
awards
man.
And marriage.
I mean, I've been nominated with that. With the first album as well, one song, and which is great. You know, I mean, I'm very appreciative of that. For me, it's about the work. It's great to have nominations and awards and all that, but for me, it's the music. That's the most important part for me.
I think there's an important lesson in there for anyone who's watching, and especially the musicians, which is to continue
Don't believe
doing.
Him. I'm just joking.
No, I mean, I've known you for a while, and you know, I was glad that you agreed to do the show with us, because I think you've got quite some interesting and intelligent stuff to talk about, which maybe people can take away. One of which is being the fact that you didn't give up on music. You know,
it's part of me. How can I give up? Why would I give up?
Why do you think some of the I mean, you've been in Dubai long enough to know some of the other bands that have been around here.
Yeah.
Some of them have released records. Some of them didn't reach that far.
Yeah.
And a lot of them gave up.
Well, I mean, for me, I never. It's part of my life. Every day I wake up and my guitar's in my hand. I'm all day playing the damn thing. You know, I can't live one day without playing it. Ask my wife; she knows. It's like I'm addicted to it. I'm in love with it. I'll do it till I die. I don't care if I become successful or not. I just love music.
I think you're in it for the right reason, man.
Well, I think that's what you should be in it for, isn't it? The music. If you're just looking out for fame, then, you know, that's the wrong reason, I think. I mean, I see a lot of young kids now who are very talented and, you know, their social media amazing, you know. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, a lot of people are cutting so much corners. I practice every day, man. I learn new stuff every day. It's like Christmas every day with music, like learning new stuff. It's like, wow, cool. What can I do with this? What can I do with this? What can I do with this? You know. I don't know. That's the way I think about it, you know. You know, it's cool to be a rock star. I mean, I love rocking out on stage. This is my home. Live is definitely my home. I do all of that to do it live, you know. But that's first and foremost is the music, you know. Your energy will always be portrayed to the people. But yeah,
I think. Well, you know, you've been here once again. You've been here for 20 years. You've played the gigs. You've opened for some big names with some of the bands that you've been in.
Yeah.
You're still making records. You're being nominated for some of them. What would be some of the challenges that you've faced here as a musician? Now, I don't want to know about, you know, that it doesn't pay much or there's not the right promotion, but like legit stuff. I mean, because like you said, you've spent a considerable amount of time
and money.
Yeah. I said time because you spent a good part of your life in the U.S.
Yeah.
And you learned whatever you did, you learned over there. You bought it over here, then you learned stuff here, and you did stuff here. So what would be some of the challenges that, even though you are doing what you're doing, you still face?
There's a lot of challenges. If you can be more specific with what, because there's different avenues to challenges, but it's how you look at it, right?
Well, again, you can correct me if I'm
wrong. No, go ahead.
You said that you are into events, you do show calling, and maybe you really enjoy it, you know? But there's some guys out there who don't enjoy what they do in the daytime.
Yeah.
There's some guys who do enjoy what they're doing, but they would still rather spend more time making music.
Well, you know, this is all up to a person's decision. I know in today's world, you got to make a living, you got to put it in there. But I believe everything has a solution. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is part of my industry. We're, you know, problem solvers. So and I always believe, like, you know, I like it and I don't like it. But, you know, I chose to do it and I'm going to do it. But I'm a freelancer as well, so I could choose to do whenever I want. You know, I got myself to that point. I built it up. So it took many years, but I built it up.
I'm sure it wasn't easy.
It was not easy. It's still not easy.
Yeah.
You know, of course I want to be doing music full-time where money comes in, where I can do my own stuff and all of this. But, you know, I got to be realistic, you know. Nothing's cheap these days. So there are challenges, but there's also solutions. You just got to find a way, you know. It's all up to the individual and how much they really love it. You know, I think that's the big key. It's like, how much do you really love music? You know, are you willing to die for it? You know, that's I don't know. No, that's me. You know, I don't care. You know, like when I get back from work, I'm like in the studio or playing or, I mean, you know, I mean, it's so addictive. It's
true. I respect that completely. You resonated something that I say to my band on and off, that guys, how bad do you want this? Because it's not easy. Especially, I mean, if with in our situation, being freelancers, you can make time. It's easier. There are guys out there who are really good musicians. I've seen quite a few of them in Dubai. I'm sure so have you.
Yeah.
But they get stuck in the rat race, and it doesn't allow them to be able to express themselves. And I hope they learn something out of what you're saying, because if you really want it bad enough, then it's not impossible.
No, nothing's impossible. Love it, love yourself, love what you do, and you kind of find a way. There's, it's a balancing act, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know what to say. You're
probably going to be facing the biggest gig of your life soon, that you're getting married. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you to my lovely fiance Red, who's filming us right now.
Red's great. I've known Red
and
for a while.
She's an amazing artist as well.
Super talented person. Maybe we'll have her on the Amcast.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Going back to music, you said that you've taken a deep dive into production.
Yeah,
you're enjoying it. I think you briefly mentioned that you're working with other musicians, or you're helping other musicians?
No, I have my studio set up at home and stuff like that. But eventually, maybe in the very near future, I would like to get a studio where I can help other artists with mixing their records and all of that stuff. I'm actually getting emails from the US from producers and stuff like that, which I was like, whoa, we like your production. I'm like, that's
a big
cool.
Deal.
I didn't think of it that way, but the whole reason I got it is because hand in hand, and that's why I'm always alone, because I know the passion I have, maybe someone else might not share the passion or the vision I have. So I'm not going to tread that on other musicians or whatnot. But that's why I hired the session play. It's just easier, a lot less headache and all that. But at the same time, I do miss having a band that's together. But
so I'm going to stop you there. You said you miss having a band. This is the second time you've mentioned it. Now, I'm sure some of the guys who you have worked with on the past records, I know off the top of my head, Hamdan's still around. What are the chances that you guys might work together in the future?
I don't know. Well, maybe not. I don't know. We've done a project already together. I'm on a different path right now, and he's on his path. But we had great chemistry.
But
a lot of people ask me that question.
No, but I'm not asking Hamdan because we're friends as well, and he came to my head. But that's why I said you've met a few other musicians. So for someone who really loves having a band, yet works mostly on your own.
Yeah.
Mostly probably 99%.
I think maybe it was all the drama that I dealt with, and because Bullfungs I managed, I wrote, I arranged, and I put it all together, know. And if you have a band, for me, it's not enough for you just to be a musician. First, you have to be a badass musician with a great attitude. That's most important. Yeah. But it's not enough these days, because a band, I treat it as a company as well. When you have companies or people who work in that company, they have also other responsibilities. So for me, a band member who really wants to be a band member is not only that you need to learn the music and play it or put something on the table. You also have to do other stuff. Like example, if I have a drummer and he's really good at social media, I say, you handle the social media. This is how it works. And a lot of successful bands, actually, if you look and I watch a lot of documentaries on production, on bands and stuff. That's what they're doing. In today's world, the music ethos has changed completely than what it was before. You have to do that. And it has to be a team effort. It's not just the music.
100%.
You know what I mean?
But
it's hard to find people
it's impossible.
Like that. Yeah, so that's why I said, you know what? I'm going to do it, and I'll hire people to do this stuff for me. But I've also failed miserably on the people I've hired for social media or, whatever it is and all that. But it'll come. For me, I just want to play music, man.
I mean, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Didn't want to dwell into drama and politics with regards to bands. We've all seen that. I see it even now. A bunch of drama queens in my band. But before we finish off the show, I won't take much of your time because I know you've got other plans as well.
No
last and least is that you're getting married. You're going to come back. You're going to be doing music again. You talked about maybe you'll get into production, maybe you won't. But Dubai is still probably got a lot more to see when it comes to music. I mean, you said earlier that it's the same all over the world, but then there's the same essence of the music industry, and then there's facts. Fact is, there's no legit record labels here.
No.
All right. You might have the big names like Sony, Universal.
Yeah, but I don't think they know what they're doing.
They don't. Yeah.
It's not they don't know what they're doing. I think they're.
I don't think they're here to discover talent.
This is not the place for it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's not the place. There's
no. I'm not saying for the talent. There's a lot of talent. I'm saying it's not the place for the labels mentality. I think the way they think is like, this is not the place where we find talent.
Do you think that's right?
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. But I think there's an amazing talent in the UAE. There's 100%, fantastic talent 100%. Here. But even outside, like, who has labels anymore? Everybody's going. Even the big bands I like, they're all gone independent. Why do you need a label? A label is just a blown up marketing company that gives you money. They have connections. That's the helpful part. But everybody's doing it on their own.
Yeah, I think the connections part is you nailed it on the head.
Yeah,
is that because Nash was here some time ago from In the Mix.
Yeah, of course.
And he said
Good
that,
friend,
and he's been here for a while, right? So things that he says are very wisdomous to me.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said was that maybe having a label behind you is just giving you that extra boost when it comes to PR.
100%.
But I think independent is the way to go, especially in a place like Dubai. But if you were to improve one thing, if you, Assaad, had the power
to improve how the scene will go,
what would you
First
do?
of all, before anything, we need to create an ecosystem for music. There is no ecosystem for music. And that starts with the bands themselves. So I'll just give you a little short story. When I was in the US and I played with all these different bands, obviously they didn't really have the permits and whatnot. So we'd get a show or get a gig somewhere, and we have other friends of ours with bands. And when we have a show, we'd call them up and like, listen, why don't you come on, guys, and open up for us so you guys could expose. And it was a team effort.
Yeah.
There was that society there. Even the local society, they really supported the scene. And I saw it with sincerity as well. And the bands, there were obviously different kinds of egos, but everybody was like evolving around each other and was happy for each other,
It was genuine.
It was genuine. And at the same time, this band, when they get a show, they call us and say, listen, can you guys come and open? So it built up. Now, what helped with that is there was venues, a lot of venues at that time. Here, because the way the system is set up, I don't blame venues for not getting bands. I think all venue owners would love to have a live band, would love to do this, but dude, permits are so expensive and the expenses, the overheads. Like, I know, example, a Stereo Arcade, the live venue. It's, and I don't blame Samer, like, I've seen it on one of his interviews and I know exactly what he's talking about. I mean, his costs for having different bands, he loves rock music. I'm sure he wants to have it. Costs so much money per year. I mean, he's got bartenders and waiters. He needs to feed them, and this cost helps feed them. Overheads are so high. So, this is why I think back in the day in Dubai there's a lot more venues. It feels like, but we shouldn't look at things that way. We should look, the internet's the power. Even big bands now touring cost a shit ton of money, man. And the way they're actually getting themselves out is through YouTube and these platforms.
What about traditional platforms like radio? Dubai has got a lot of great radio stations.
I've approached radios and stuff like that, but that
did they play your music?
One radio station did, but it was just like interview radio or whatever it is. But
why do you think they don't play Dubai-based bands?
I've spoken to one of the DJs once because they get this grid system of a list of music that they pay, rights for to play. I don't understand that, but I never really cared for that. But my music's on Spotify, and this is where the world's going.
That's where the world is going.
100%. I've been on TV so many times. This is one thing that drives me nuts here is this royalty. I've been having, I have my copyrights and royalties, all this from MCPS.
Okay.
I've been on TV so many times. On Fox Television, we had like 3 different performances. For 2 years it was going. You remember, I forgot the name of that show. Sadis did it.
Oh, I remember.
It goes on. I'm on every album I have is Bulfangzu album is on Emirates. That's 600 million people a year or whatever.
Wow.
If you just give me one, feature, which is great. It's great for exposure. And I've had music on ads and stuff like that, but I never saw 1 penny of that. But this is the problem here. So if this was in Europe or in the US, this is very important how music is being put out in public,
it's a
which
legit
they
business,
don't have that. So this is one very important thing for the musician, for the artist, is to get back what they, everybody tells you exposure, but that's great. But, give me some money, man. I'm not giving you this.
Is there an authority here that allows you to, that protects your music for you and, that allows you to approach people and say, yo, where's my money?
I haven't seen it. Okay. Like, I'm copyrighted all over the world, but here, funny enough, and I'm from here. Funny part is my CD sales, my first Abstract Collision, it was physical CDs. They were selling everywhere, but they won't sell it here. And it was selling in countries that we're not allowed to talk about. Like, wow, this is where they distributed. And I'm looking and I'm like, are you serious, man? You know, but overall, of course, that used to take me off. But now, like, I don't even look at this region for that part. You get what I'm saying? That's the business side of things. They have a way long journey to go when it comes to royalties and copyrights and proper distribution and all that, I believe. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you. And I hope at some point with the Amcast we can actually get someone on board who can answer some of these questions from an authoritative point of view in Dubai, because I think, like you said earlier, man, there's so much talent here.
Yeah.
There's so much talent here. Yeah. It's a sad thing to see that talent go to waste. Assaad, won't take much of your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having
being
me
here on the Amcast. Yeah. We would look forward to seeing you guys at the Amped Open Mic Night Jams. They have some great plans for that coming up after summer.
Awesome.
And we look forward to, listening to more records and music from you. And,
cheers.
Congratulations one more time.
Thank you.
The big gig.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
See you guys.
Peace.